Mbti here. I'm a career coach with Clarity Coaching, and I work with individuals and companies to identify what their next best step is and get there with working with their natural talents, not against them. So today is part 2 in a 3-part series about how to use personality tests to elicit change, both in yourself as an individual and on the company or group level. So last week, if you joined us, we were talking about the Strengths Finder and how to use that for change. Today we'll talk about the MBTI, or the Myers-Briggs. So in today's video, we'll do a brief overview of what the MBTI is, how you would use it for change personally and also in a group. So to start with, the MBTI is historically one of the most consistently used tools in the corporate world. It gives you a 4-letter result for your type, such as INFJ, which is my MBTI type. But it explains that human personality and behavior can be understood as almost on a continuum. So one of those preference pairs that we're most familiar with is the term, if you've heard the terms extrovert and introvert. So that's that first set of preference pairs. For me, it's I, that's the I in INFJ, but you could be an E, you could be a mild E, a strong E, but whatever that is, it's a preference. And so MBTI would say that you can use either extroversion behaviors or introversion behaviors, but you have a preference as to which of those you use more. So that kind of tells you, you might be able to guess where we're going with the change and how change is managed with the MBTI. But let's say, we'll take the same problems, use the same problems as we used in the previous video. So first, let's say I'm very unhappy with my work and not sure what I want to do, but just know I'm not really cutting it where I'm at right now. So Myers-Briggs theory would say, first of all, let's figure out how to make the best out of where you are and what you're doing now. So we would evaluate your job. Let's say your job is that you're an administrative assistant. Okay, the strongest preferences, perhaps, to be a really effective administrator would be I, S, T, and J. So for the ones that aren't your natural preference, let's talk about ways to enhance those skills and kind of flex those muscles that aren't as strong in you. So for me, as an N, that would be, okay, how can we help you develop the sensing side a little bit more so that you can be more in the physical world, grounded and concrete on the tasks ahead of you? How can we get you to be a little bit more thinking oriented in the way that you make decisions so that you're, again, very logical and ordered and consistent and more administrative, etc. The Myers-Briggs would also say, let's evaluate your preference, your set of preference styles, mine being INFJ, and let's see where most INFJs tend to be happiest and get you there. So it's a combination of, change yourself, evaluate the environment and what it needs, and then use those skills and develop the skills if you don't have them. It's a combination of that, and also let's figure out where most people want the kind of skills that you naturally offer. So it's kind of in some ways, opposite of a Strengths Finder approach. It's telling you to almost meld with the environment and what its needs are from you, and that's how you can get the change you need. You need to be adaptable and flex. So even if your natural style is ENFP or ENTP, sometimes you got to act like an ISFJ, and you need to learn to flex with that. On the company side, it's similar, but let's take the same problem. Let's say you're in charge of a group that isn't meeting its sales targets. So in this situation, you would evaluate, okay, who's our ideal client? What's their Myers-Briggs type, for example? If they're an ESTP, then let's figure out how to speak to the main desires and interests of an ESTP. So again, we evaluate, it's the opposite of the Strengths Finder. Strengths Finder says, let's start with what's right about you, what you're good at, and go inner directed out. The Myers-Briggs would say, let's evaluate who the client is, who the environment is that you're going into, what their needs are, and then deliver it, whether it's natural for us to deliver that or not. So there's certainly value to both perspectives. With the Myers-Briggs, it requires a little bit more flexibility and ability to quickly understand the types of others, of other corporations, of other individuals, in order to relate to them the best. So hopefully that's clear. So again, to recap what we've talked about the past 2 weeks, for the Strengths Finder, you address problems by evaluating which of your natural strengths could address that problem most effectively and going from the inward outward. Myers-Briggs starts by evaluating the system that you find yourself in, evaluating the problem, and then flexing your natural style to get the results that you need. And hopefully also evaluate which environments are most right for you and put yourself in an environment that's going to require you not to have to flex as much, if that makes sense. So, as always, if you have questions, feel free to get in touch with me, Facebook, what else is there? My website, Twitter, YouTube. And join us next week for the grand finale. We'll talk about the Enneagram and how to use that for change. If you don't want to miss out on next week's blog and when it's going to be up, make sure you subscribe underneath this video and you'll get an email when that's posted. Thanks so much and see you soon.